Hey guys, welcome back to Life Learning with me, Christy. For those of you who don't know, I currently attend Western Governors University studying my bachelor's degree in elementary education at the Teachers College. I am so excited to share with you guys about how you can create your own teaching philosophy. For any future educator, it's great to kind of begin to brainstorm ideas of what we envision for our future classroom, what kind of teacher we will be, how we can make an impactful difference for our students. So today I'm going to be sharing with you some of my kind of examples, along with things for you to consider when thinking about your experience as a future teacher. So, educational beliefs and values. Think about what makes a great teacher. What do you truly believe about education? What do you value in a teacher and students? What do you value in a successful education? You can think about your experiences, maybe that you've learned so far, or if you have actual experience in a classroom, maybe through volunteer work or through observation. Do some research as well and kind of watch videos of live classrooms just to get an idea of your own educational beliefs and values. For me, I believe that all students have the capacity to succeed in life, in school, and should have a quality education. I also believe that learning should be personalized, and you can apply social emotional learning and have a growth mindset. I believe that a classroom should be a safe space and encourage students to have a love of learning and really kind of take pride in themselves. Classroom management. This one's actually my favorite. And I want you to kind of think about, how do you want to manage your class behavior and learning goals? Because those are two different things. And sometimes classroom management tends to go about many different ways about how to manage those two things. What resources will you use? Are you going to use some technology, or are you going to use something that's more hands-on? How will you implement them? How will you promote the emotional and mental well-being of your students? Because that's also very important. Again, do some research. I certainly did some for me. I do have experience with classrooms and being a teacher, interacting with students. But if you don't, again, watch some videos of live classrooms just to get some ideas. For me, I plan to use Class Dojo. You can actually just look it up. Um, it's a reward system, but you can also communicate to parents, which is why I like it so much. I plan to use this for class and individual rewards. I'm also going to have like class and learning kind of goal system as well, a daily check-in or a zone of regulation, grow and glow notes, which I think are important to kind of encouraging kids about where they need to grow in, and catching them when they're doing something great. Silent warning notes. I don't believe in humiliating students or really calling them out. So a silent little warning note kind of redirect their behavior, their focus, I feel like will do wonders much better. Also, teacher mail, I think, is a great idea to use. Having students do self-evaluations for themselves, obviously, for their peers, their groups, even their teacher, I think is great. I'm hopefully going to implement a calming corner. I think it's just great because, if students are getting frustrated or they're getting a little overwhelmed, they can take a few minutes, 5 minutes in the calming corner, do some activities, come back to the class, and just kind of have a better perspective. Um, and the last thing I hope to implement, this is something that I actually read a book about. It's actually a book called I Wish My Teacher Knew. So I'm going to create I Wish My Teacher Knew corner, and they can give me they can kind of like message me things that they want me to know privately and they don't want to share with the whole group, and that's fine. I think that is a great way to manage your classroom. So, teaching style. I'm not so much talking about, strategies that you may be interested in using. I'm really talking about what you envision yourself as a future teacher. What kind of style will you encourage learning from students? How will you implement that learning? This kind of goes back to your beliefs. So just kind of be thinking about your beliefs and values. Think about what gets you excited to be a teacher. And if any ideas kind of spring to mind, use those ideas because that will really encourage your teaching style and kind of make you stand out. Um, I often think about this in artsy terms. Everyone can um, copy and paint a beautiful picture, but everyone's style will be very unique. I'm an artist myself, a painter, so every time I'm kind of watching painter videos or tutorials, no matter if the picture is very similar, some along the way, my style will be very different from the style that I'm watching. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. Your style will be different from others, and that is perfectly fine. Again, it just goes back to you and who you want to be as a future teacher. What are things you can do that will make you stand out and make a difference? For me, I personally believe in a constructivist classroom. This means I believe that learning is personalized and should be an engaging experience. I believe that learning is a social activity. It's contextual, it's personal, it's relevant, and it should really motivate um, students. I also believe that learning should be kind of hands-on, discovery-based, based on that personal experience or prior learning. And I love the instructional strategy of scaffolding, and that kind of plays really well into a constructivist classroom. I also believe that you shouldn't always just teach the test or teach the workbook because if you really want your students to really leave the classroom one day and take that learning with them, they're going to have to learn more visually and more in depth and, you know, really learn it instead of just memorizing it. Growing professionally. So for this one, again, back to you being a teacher, what kind of teacher you want to be for yourself. Will you participate in school meetings or duties outside of school? Will you attend professional workshops, maybe at your school or maybe at your home? How will you keep up to date on like new methods? And how will these impact your teaching overall? I think as teachers, we really want to just, dive right into the classroom and start teaching kids. But I think the other thing that we have to remember is that teaching today didn't always be that way. There used to be a very traditional way of teaching students, and there's been a lot of research done. So, using that research, we can kind of enhance our teaching practices. It can really inform our instruction and really inspire students and future educators as well, the next generation. So, growing professionally is part of the job, but really part of who you are as a future teacher. I mean, it's really a part of your teaching philosophy as well. For me, I believe again that I believe in all students and their ability to succeed in life. I actually follow some organizations. I follow Hey Teach. It's a website by my university. Your university may have one, if you're interested, that kind of really encourages future educators. Edutopia, that's one of my favorites. I'm always watching videos and I'm always reading stuff about how to implement new ideas. We Are Teachers is a really great one as well. Using those resources to grow professionally, I expect to be involved in my school community as well, and hopefully will participate in many ways for me to grow as well. And, you know, in your career, a lot of teachers do go for a master's degree or they get another certification. So, kind of be thinking about, do you want to do that? Do you want to get your master's degree? Do you want to get another certification? For me, I really want to shoot for my master's and even my doctorate degree. So, diversity. A lot of this has to do with instructional strategies that you will be implementing in your classroom, but some of it really does define your teaching philosophy, and it's something that you should really kind of consider. Um, think about some accommodations or modifications that you'll use in your classroom. How will you implement those? How will you personalize that learning, especially to each individual student, not just as a whole class? Um, how can you include students' families? How can your classroom be culturally competent? What kinds of technologies will you use or students will use? And how can you reach your students who don't have internet or other tools at home? Because I didn't realize this, that there may not be students who have the resources, the technology, or even the internet access at home. And as teachers, we really got to be one step ahead and really help our students. Having equal access is great, but if students don't have that, what can we do as teachers so that they won't have to worry about that and they can still participate in the learning? Um, for mine, I've decided to not really use a grading scale. I think this really comes from my personal experience at WGU. I just really like the idea of having a pass or a no pass. It doesn't matter what grade, what letter grade I have. It reduces the stress out of it. And all that matters is if I passed or if I didn't pass. I also believe that my students should receive daily feedback, be given ample time for tasks, retake or correct mistakes for assignments and exams, be able to use assistive technology, given choices on assessments. Also, believe using manipulatives or other tools throughout any task, assignment, or throughout the day. um, I believe that students should learn about others in their classroom. Um, our classroom library will kind of reflect students and who they are, and their families and their cultures. I also believe that students should be encouraged in their own interests, and that to me can be a reward as well. Kind of goes back to classroom management as well. If students are finished with something or they would like a reward of some sort, you can really encourage them to use their interest, to pursue an interest or be a part of an interest. And I think that really goes, again, like I said, back to classroom management. And I also believe that parents should have lots of info about our class and their child and be able to volunteer and be a part. The classroom layout. This is, again, one of my favorites. I've looked at loads of different ideas, and you can too. But really, what do you envision your classroom will look like? I know you won't really be able to really see the space up front, but allow yourself some flexibility. What do you envision? Because when you become a teacher, you'll just be given a space and it might have some stuff in it, and you may have to rearrange things to kind of fit the layout that you kind of envision. So just kind of think about it, toy with the idea. What things would you like to include in your layout? How will students be seated? Where will you place your management systems? How do you want your classroom to feel? What kind of environment do you want to implement? For my classroom, mine will really be welcoming and engaging. Students will hopefully be grouped, and this will change routinely. They'll have a place for their stuff, as always. The layout will be flexible in case if I have to move things around. There will be spaces for centers. I'm a firm believer on learning centers. There will be displays of encouraging and informational posters as well. I'll have various types of different seating, and there'll be places for students' work. Going back to that classroom management, going back to the layout as well, how do you want parents to be involved? This goes for parents and students, kind of taking in that classroom management and even the classroom layout. My first things that I want you to consider is, how do you want parents to be involved? How will you communicate that to parents? How will parents be able to learn what is going on? And how do you want to build a classroom community from that, with students as well? How will students and parents be informed of progress? And how will students be a part of the actual classroom? Because it's their classroom too. And I really believe that classrooms should kind of think of the teacher and students as part of like a family. Really have a safe space for students. I believe that students can have classroom jobs. I've seen that, and something else I've seen that's really cool, and I really want to implement is having students apply for those jobs, like actually fill out like a little application, and change classroom jobs often so that kind of everyone has a chance to be more than one thing. I believe that parents should be provided with weekly newsletters, be provided information in multiple languages because not all of them will speak English, and really be updated of progress. So using my class dojo, I feel like I'll be able to communicate to parents there, sending home teacher mail, kind of things like that. For parent-teacher conferences, I've actually learned that having students be a part of it is important too, because it's their progress as well. And if you really want them to take ownership of that learning, they should be a part. Um, for those, I feel like, students will be able to kind of show parents, here's what I've been working on, and kind of make them proud of themselves and really take accountability for that learning. Parents, for my classroom as well, they'll be given info every unit of every subject that we'll be learning about and how they can kind of help at home. And at the end of the year, I really want parents and students to just evaluate me because this really matters to grow professionally, I think. Um, for students, they'll be given like some sort of prompt, but they can also like give me a message as well, parents as well, any other comments. And this will help me to like really self evaluate myself, kind of reflect every year going into the new year. I think is progress being made. So, this last one, I want you to really think about a few routines that you actually want to implement. It didn't have to be a lot, just a few things. Maybe you've seen on Pinterest or you've seen on social media that you find interesting. Just a few routines that you really want to use in your classroom. Pick a few and define which ones are more important to you to really implement. There will be a lot, but I've narrowed mine to just about three for now. Um, how will you create rules and norms? How will students be a part of those routines? I honestly believe that the teachers can provide the rules, and from there, students can brainstorm ideas to make norms. As I said, this will build classroom community as well. And I just feel like students will have more input on how to be a good student or how we should treat others, things like that, just to really kind of let them be a part of it. For a morning routine, we'll have greetings. I'll greet them at the door. They'll do morning work, maybe review something. They'll go to the bathroom, get water. They'll do a daily check in. They'll do a zone of regulation, and then they'll have free time. The second routine that I'm going to implement is a morning meeting. I think this just is a positive way to kind of get the day really going. So they'll talk about a daily schedule. We'll kind of go over things, learning goals. We'll do a class pledge. We'll do a morning message. We might do a social learning prompt as well, and then just kind of have like a moment of silence. The last routine that I hope to implement is a dismissal routine. This is very similar to the morning one. We'll have like a little exit ticket on Fridays. They'll actually have like an end of week reflection. No homework. I don't feel like students should have that much homework, to be honest. And especially no homework over the weekends. My goodness, have some family time. um, they'll pack up. We'll read a book as a class. We'll kind of do our greetings and the like we did in the morning, and then they'll be dismissed. So just think about how students will be a part of these as well. How will you kind of implement this? And you'll really implement this throughout the first week, first to 2 weeks, I would say, of school. But just be thinking about things that you've seen, do some research again, watch videos, just really kind of get an idea of really what you want to implement as a teacher, with its routines, classroom management, your teaching style, how you're going to grow professionally, and all of that, because all of that will define your teaching philosophy. Well, guys, thank you so much for being a part. I really hope this was helpful as you begin to think about what kind of philosophy you want to have as a teacher, a future teacher. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below and I will be happy to answer them for you. As always, I hope you all have a great day and I'll talk to you all again soon. Bye, guys.